who's made his way from Oklahoma, where he was a Heisman winner, to the Cleveland Browns, where he was potentially one of the most hated men in the NFL. And now he's revitalized his career on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers under a top 10 head coach in Todd Bowles, allegedly. Joe, what do you have to say about Baker Mayfield?
Man, I've got a lot to say about this guy. I mean, this is a guy who we all thought a few years ago was totally dead in the water. But he goes to Tampa, and all of a sudden, this guy is just completely revitalized. He's posted the best numbers of his career over the last 2 seasons. In 2023, he set career highs in passing yards with 4,044 yards, 28 touchdowns while only throwing 10 interceptions. And then last year, you have just this absolute monstrous season, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and a 71.4% completion rate. On top of this, you had guys like Mike Evans out. Godwin was hurt. He was out. He's throwing a freaking Jalen McMillan and Kate Otten. Finished the year as QB4. And now the Bucs are bringing in Emeka Egbuka. They've revamped the O-line, and they're one of the most pass-happy teams in the NFL. They just promoted the prior pass game coordinator in Josh Grizzard as their new OC, which tells me that this core scheme we had last year is going to remain relatively similar. The weapons only got better. Mike Evans is guaranteed to have another 1,000-yard season as he has for the last decade. They pick up Egbuka, and the O-line is fantastic with Wirfs protecting Baker, only giving up 5 sacks in 19 games in 2023. He's going around the 6-7 turn in redrafts right now, which is pretty egregious. I know we all share a redraft league, but man, this is somebody that if I'm strategizing, I might take some wide receivers and some running backs early and try and grab him there at that turn. I think that's a ridiculous value. But looking at him from a dynasty perspective, he's only 30. So, I think he's going to continue to produce, and I like him here on this offense. We don't have a lot of data because he's just all of a sudden just a freaking beast, but you can go out there and get him at value. I think it's a freaking awesome play.
Keith, any thoughts?
I always have thoughts about Baker Mayfield. We were talking earlier, and I just don't know how this guy's completely flipped his PR from just somebody who was complete disdain across basically everybody for being a cocky guy on the sidelines at Oklahoma who's grabbing his package and waving at Texas. Like, he is a competitor, and you can't deny he's got the energy to go out and win big games. Something about the Bucs, man, when they changed their jerseys from the Jameis Winston era back to the mid 2000s look that Tom Brady wore for the first time, and now Baker has worn, they've just been low key a really fun and likable team. Now, I don't think Todd Bowles is that great, but what I do think they have developed over the past few seasons is really good offensive coordinators. You had Byron Leftwich, who got fired when they changed through the staffs. He's now at Colorado, but he did really well with Tom Brady on the team. Then you went to Liam Cohen, Duval, who's now in Jacksonville. And they promoted a guy from within who they believe is going to be, somebody who's going to dial up the offense. They're really fun from a PPR perspective with all the dump offs to Rachaad White and what will now be Bucky Irving. I don't really see a scenario where you see a huge reduction in Baker's production. Nice rhyme there. But I do think he has to continue to deliver, or else they're not going to continue to spend for this roster like you've seen. I mean, they've got a very expensive wide receiver room. They paid Godwin big time to stay instead of letting him come to the Patriots like they should have. And they go and get a first round, I believe, maybe second round receiver in Emeka Egbuka, who is going to be elite, mark my words. So that isn't cheap. And my point is, if Baker can continue to prove that he's the man in Tampa, they'll keep providing him weapons. And, hopefully he throws another 12-win season up there and maybe a deep playoff run. He's somebody who I would love to see get a Super Bowl at some point. He's kind of got that Eli Manning feel to him for sure.
Yeah, I am going to play devil's advocate here, and I'm going to say, I will plant my flag on this hill, that last year is going to be the best year of his career. I don't like Baker Mayfield. He's grown on me. I will say that. We've had a ton of discussions, I think, in our group chat with our close friends here about this guy, but used to be on the Browns. Obviously, I don't like the Browns very much. The Browns suck ass. He was really cocky on the Browns like he was at Oklahoma. But in a way, I'm happy for him because he's done really well, because I think he's had some legitimate weapons that he didn't have on the Browns in Tampa Bay. So I don't know if it's the jerseys like Keith was saying. It's certainly not Todd Bowles as their head coach that's the reason for his resurgence. But he's playing well. So I think the best thing he has going for him is I feel like he's really utilizing his legs more than he used to. He ran a lot last year. Most of it was scrambling. A lot of it was just chunk yardage. And I felt like every time I watched the game, he was just running around like crazy, kind of like Kyler Murray almost back when he was good. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm concerned because Mike Evans at some point has to fall off a cliff here. Godwin coming off of that injury that he had, I think he dislocated his ankle, if I'm not mistaken. That's a pretty serious injury. I'll be interested to see how he recovers from that. And then they did draft, Jalen McMillan. I do like him. I have him in our Dynasty League together. So I'm kind of partial to him. And then Egbuka as well, obviously, is being ranked pretty highly. We'll see how they end up utilizing him. So I don't know. I think their division is bad enough where he can continue to rack up yards, especially with his legs, like I mentioned a second ago. But what did he finish last year? QB6? Was it like QB8?
Criminally high.
QB4?
Yeah.
4.
Yes.
He threw 41 touchdowns last year, dude.
Yeah. Again, I don't see him replicating that. I just feel like, I guess my final thoughts here, sorry to interrupt you, is that you're going to be buying him like at his peak. With him turning 30 as well. I guess it just depends on what you're buying for.
My final thought here before we transition to our last person we're putting in the market, like how far this guy's come from the Rams year, man. Like, do you guys even remember when he played 12 games and started for the Rams? Stafford was banged up and he did not look very good. And all of a sudden he signs with Tampa on a kind of prove it deal and throws for 4,000 yards twice in a row. There's 28 tuds year one and 41 year two. Now, that's not anything close to sniffing the Jameis 30-30 season, but 41 touchdowns to 16 picks is pretty damn good, man.
He's still going criminally low, even in our league. I was trying to ship, Baker to somebody else, maybe to just get some draft capital, just to kind of protect myself in case anybody goes down. Couldn't even move him. Like, people are still so low on him.
He's probably got 7-8 seasons remaining. From an age perspective, that's a long time, especially if you don't pay too much for him. Aaron Rodgers is still playing, and I'm not saying he's the most fantasy relevant, explosive guy in the world, but in a 2 QB league, Baker's a pretty shiny QB2. So I'm on board. Like, I like him. I like watching him play. He enjoys the game. He's competitive, and we'll see how the Bucs do this year, but probably another 9-8 NFC South victory, it feels like.